Hey guys, it's Hunt for Games, and here in the co-pilot's chair is Waffles. Waffles the corgi. Hi, buddy. Yes, he's the best. This is round 6 of Hunt for Game news. I thought I'd bring in the floofer for this particular edition. I think it's round 6. Anyways, lots of stuff. Like a crap load of stuff happened this week, which means I had to get him involved, or otherwise he'd be wandering around probably eating guitars and stuff. So let's just kick it off right now. Scorpio specs, Project Scorpio for the Xbox update later this year, have been released. A big, huge announcement from Microsoft. So what's up with that? Is it living up to the expectations of most powerful console ever? Yes, probably. With what they've released, it probably will be the most powerful console ever. Now, I'll get to that in a second. Let's just talk about the specs a little bit, and then we'll talk about Microsoft's claims. So, they've got a lot of big statements in the announcements, like it's 4.2 times as fast, can run all Xbox One games at 4K 60 frames per second. I mean, that's a huge claim. Running Forza tech demo at 4K 60, so they did this. They showed a Forza tech demo. Now, this wasn't Forza, the latest Forza, I think. It was like the Forza engine. So I started doing a hardware comparison on all the details that were coming out, and I realized it's just too much. It's way too much. So I'm going to do a Hunt for Hardware segment this week. Check back tomorrow. And we'll go into extreme detail. If you want to hear all about the specs and everything, we'll talk about that. I'm just kind of briefly, they upgraded the RAM, upgraded the CPU, GPU. It's an upgrade. We'll talk about how much and everything. But for me, the biggest thing here is that they still haven't announced a price. And they keep showing, they're like, oh, it's the strongest ever. And hi, buddy. But price is everything. If they put this thing out there and it's $800, I don't care how powerful it is. No one's going to buy it. They'll just buy computers. I don't think that's going to be the price. I think it's going to be more like $500, which I'm still not sure is going to be great, because even though it's $100, it might be $100 more value-wise over the PS4 Pro. We'll talk about that more in tomorrow's segment. But it might just be too much. PS4 still is kind of winning on exclusives, especially this year with like Horizon Zero Dawn. They've got a ton of games coming out later. Floofer, you're getting a little anxious. Anyways, so moving on. But there are some cool announcements that we didn't know about. It comes with a Blu-ray player, which the PS4 Pro does not. That's huge. 4K Blu-ray player. That's a very big deal. I think that's amazing. It also has a 4K 60 frames per second HD game capture, which is actually a huge deal for me. Currently, there really isn't a lot of options for capturing 4K footage if I wanted to with the PS4 Pro or my PC or anything like that. He's below the camera. So for me, this could be, if this is $500, $500 still is a pretty good deal for a 4K capture device if it's like good quality, which the Xbox was a good quality capture device. So really curious to see what comes out of that, because that could be huge news for me alone for just the capture functionality. Anyways, that's just for me though. So also supposed to run all existing Xbox One games, not a surprise. Xbox 360 backwards compatible titles, I guess that could have been a surprise. But supposedly they're claiming it'll improve upon all games, whether they're enhanced for the Scorpio or not. I'll be surprised if this is the case without even like a minor patch, because a lot of games are capped at 30 frames per second. So, we'll see. The PS4 Pro, while stronger hardware, a lot of games are they're looking for a different kind of hardware. Now, that could be a limitation of the PS4. All right, bud, I'll let you know. All right. Could be a limitation of the PS4, design structure and Xbox being closer to PC. They literally just immediately buffed up. We'll see. I'm not sure. They announced that 1080p games would experience a super sampling benefit. Oh my god, I got a hair lick in my mouth. Wow, almost died. Which is good. I'm glad to see that 1080p will see enhanced frame rates, super sampling, all that kind of fun stuff. Because I still don't have a 4K TV. And they're claiming 4K 60 frames per second for all games that exist in the Xbox One. I guess maybe they could do that with the specs that games on the Xbox One are currently running at, which are usually low to medium for games that are running on PC. But my computer struggles to run a lot of games at 4K 60 frames per second at their higher settings. So it depends. There's a lot of wording here that I want to get more details on, and I'm sure we'll see more details as the months go on. Still no name, still no price. We don't know actually what it's called. It's not going to be called the Scorpio. That's just like the project name right now. So we'll see. Curious to see if they can deliver on all they're promising right now. Hardware does look impressive though. So It does look like it'll be stronger than the PS4 Pro. Whether that'll matter overall in the consumer world, we'll have to find out. So what else? Enough of Microsoft. I did the swipe again. Damn it. I said I wasn't going to do it. Persona 5. Persona 5 came out, and I am surprisingly eager to get my hands on it. That's all. I've never played a Persona game, and I keep bringing it up in every video because there's it just looks really cool. So a lot of people have made jokes about the Persona games being kind of like a dating simulator and kind of goofy, but just like the combat system and overall how like the interactions with other NPCs kind of affect your gameplay over the course of the game, it looks neat. I really want to check it out. I'll probably wait for a sale, but it looks pretty cool. Anybody playing it? I want to see what people are thinking. They had some huge. Actually, I didn't have the notes on this, but I read it anyway. The developer came out with a huge statement saying, like, essentially boiling down to we might ban Twitch streamers and YouTube people. You'd think I'd have a better word for that. YouTubers for putting out content that they consider spoilers about the game because essentially they just like don't like it. I don't know. It was a little didn't come across great. Not really gelling too well with the community. I understand. I hate spoilers, but like that's why I avoid videos that have to do with games I'm worried about being spoiled. I don't know. I don't think it's a good move for developers, but of course I'm biased. Being someone who does YouTube videos, I don't want the developer to restrict what I can show and what I can't show about the game. So obviously that's me. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about their restrictions. I wish I had more details in front of me. I kind of forgot to look it up, but essentially it boils down to they were not happy with the concept of streamers and video content creators to be putting out possible spoilers and information about their game. I don't know if this just boils down to they're worried about Let's Players essentially taking away from sales of the game, because that's what it came down to a lot for other developers, or if they just truly don't like the idea of twists and stuff being out there on the internet. But I mean, it's the internet. Like that's an unfortunate nature of the internet these days. So let me know what you think. Obviously, I'm biased being a content creator. I'm really excited to play this and would like to share, aspects of the game with everybody if I do end up getting it. And the developer not supporting me in that is a little bit of a letdown. It's a huge letdown. No, I'm upset. I'm upset. Anyways, moving on. So, saw this little update. The Secret World. I made one video on it that I actually never even put out, I don't think. Cool MMO from 5 or 6 years ago that didn't really ever get off the ground. It's doing okay now. It is still buy to play. I don't think it's free to play. There's no subscription. I think was the status. Had amazing story, amazing lore, amazing world, according to reviews and according to my experiences. Voice acting all over the place. Really cool. Character creation system and development. Are you guys hearing that growling? It's below me. He's growling as he munches on his toys. Buddy, come on, what are you doing? But was faulted for, it's kind of the UI is a little messed up. I'm going to pick you up in a second if you keep growling, but the UI is a little crazy and the combat system is a little awful. Is the best way I can think to describe that. It's just not fun or engaging. And so I not ranted, but explained that for a little bit to say that they had an investors meeting for Funcom, I think. I hope it's Funcom, who owns the Secret World. I think it was Funcom. And they kind of just threw in there the Secret World. Apparently, profits have been dropping for the Secret World, which is not really a surprise. But they want to combat that by introducing a bunch of updates, like changes to daily kind of systems that keep players engaged, changes to the combat system, which if drastic enough could be a huge deal because this game was always teetering on being kind of a huge, amazing MMO out there. But the combat system I really think is one of the main things that held it back. So if they update that, I mean, better late than never. I played it a little bit in the Halloween season because it's a very dark kind of game, but I'd be cool. I'm going to keep my eye on these updates that are coming out for it. And they also said there might be a free-to-play option for the story alone to kind of get you hooked. And the story seems amazing. So that'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool news. So keep my eyes on that. Good stuff. What else? By the time of this video, Ryzen 5 may be out. Ryzen 5 is the mid-tier to lower tier. I don't know what we call low tier. CPU options for AMD's Ryzen. So this includes 4-core, 8-thread, 6-core, 12-thread, varying CPU clock speed CPUs. So they've already released the high-end Ryzen, I think it's Ryzen 7, the 1700, 1700X, and 1800X, which have all been, reviewed very well, with the caveat that gaming performance is kind of confusing right now, confusingly low, for how well it's doing in other benchmarks and other situations, and confusingly low in comparison to high-end Intel CPUs. Not low, it's been doing pretty well. Some updates have already been kind of filtering out to various games to hopefully improve upon that. AMD obviously is making a few updates to their power performance plans. They've been released this week. Cool stuff coming out all over. It does seem, so far, the games that have been updated, such as Ashes of Singularity, have shown large increases in frame rates for the high-end Ryzen CPUs. So anyways, why am I so excited about Ryzen 5? Ryzen 5 is the bracket that I think that I would probably buy in, and I'm assuming a lot of you guys would be interested in. It's the like $150 to $250 range, combating like the i5 and maybe older CPUs. Why I'm so excited is because that could mean a 6-core, 12-thread for like $230. Like that's pretty crazy. If that competes well with i7s, which so far sneaky little benchmarks that have been coming out seem to suggest it might, that's gonna rock Intel's pricing market currently, with like an i7 going for no less than $300, and i5s will plummet. I have an i5 right now. I've been really excited about updating with all the editing I'm doing now. But anyways, let me know what you think about that, guys. Huge updates. I can't wait to see how they're reviewed. I'm really excited to see this stuff. It's tomorrow. Hunt for hardware segment I've been really excited to do for Ryzen, but with Ryzen 5 was announced, and I was like, it's right around the corner. I might as well wait till that comes out. We get a baseline of frame rates for that on games and other reviews and stuff. And then we can talk about the whole line, what it means for Intel. Am I excited about it still? Yes, I mean, spoiler, I'm very excited. I think there's a lot of good stuff coming from AMD, which can only help you even if you're planning on staying with Intel, because it's going to drive prices down. So last two little things for today. Blizzard announced a little update on Overwatch for the Switch. I didn't realize people were asking for this, but I guess why not? It's a brand new console. Like, why not have one of your favorite games on it? So they're thinking about it is sort of the answer, but it's not likely at this juncture, it sounds like. The summary of why is essentially right now they've got a simultaneous patch process across all platforms, PC, Xbox One, and PS4. That they pretty much nailed that down. To introduce the Switch into that mix would essentially just be harder, is the best answer they gave. And I understand that they are enjoying the simultaneous patch process. That's a huge milestone to reach, and to kind of throw that off by introducing a new console would be a step back for them, and I'm sure that's very hard. Also, and probably the larger issue, is that they'd have to kind of change how their low-end performance is right now with Overwatch. And as far as I was aware, Overwatch had pretty good performance on low-end systems. Maybe it's how the Switch works, and that it's more of like an integrated SoC CPU thing on... it's made by, what is it? NVIDIA. It's an NVIDIA Tegra chip, which is probably just different than from how... PS4 is much closer to like Microsoft PC, and obviously Xbox One and Microsoft PCs are like identical for development purposes. So the Switch just might be a harder system to kind of immediately port to for depending on how low the graphics requirements can be on your system. I've heard the Switch is much easier to develop for than the Wii U, but obviously Blizzard isn't like, yeah, it'll just run. They'd likely have to alter just natures of the engine and how it performs on lower end systems. So that's interesting. I wonder what it means for the Switch in general and what it's capable of. Or if it's just Blizzard and how it develops Overwatch and where it's set the benchmark. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you think you kind of can see into that a little bit deeper. I normally don't pay attention too close to that kind of stuff, but I have a Switch and I like Overwatch a little bit. And I was just curious about the whole discussion about why, anyways, whatever. Bubbles, what you doing? Leave it, buddy. Anyways, last thing. Mass Effect Andromeda, the facelift update came out. It looks like it made some improvements. I don't know if it improved everything in terms of but some of the more ridiculous looking faces have just been improved to look a little more realistic, which is awesome news. Interestingly, and why it's on this kind of update thing, not available to pirated copies. They kind of enhanced their pirate protection in this update, preventing pirated copies from getting this update. Now, will that last? Probably not. That never lasts. But I love to see this kind of protection against pirated copies. If anybody remembers, the Ubisoft No Face update of Assassin's Creed supposedly was a day one patch. And where people were seeing that problem were with pirated copies. Now, that kind of got buried in just like the ridiculousness because there were so many other problems with Assassin's Creed Unity. Waffles, come here, buddy. What are you doing? Leave it. But, yeah, really interesting. We'll see how long that lasts. And whether or not people immediately just break that code. Mass Effect Andromeda is an interesting story in itself, but I think that's pretty much it for this week's Hunt for Gaming News. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about all these updates. Is anyone playing Persona 5? What do you guys think of the Project Scorpio stats? Which I'll get into more in Hunt for Hardware tomorrow. So come back and check that out if you're really curious about what they're dealing with, even if you got a PS4 like me. I do have an Xbox One that I primarily use just to play with my little brother, but the Scorpio is not marketed to me. I've got a PC, an Xbox One, and a PS4. I don't need a stronger Xbox One. But anywho, let me know what you guys think. The Secret World, huge news for the Secret World. Anybody playing the Secret World on this channel? I'd really be curious to hear what you think, where you think those improvements might be. Oh, did you just whine at me? You're all right, buddy. Anyways, I should probably go check on him. But seriously, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for sticking around. Check out the next couple videos coming out this week. We got some good stuff. And can't wait to see you guys next week. Peace. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you should totally think about subscribing. I've got videos coming out twice a week. And if you like this one, there's at least a chance you'll like some of the others that are very similar to this. So live dangerously. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments and other videos you'd like to see. And finally, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Huntin for Games to keep up with all the latest stuff. See ya.